conservative values as an alternate to the left-wing media. This is largely attributable to him. And it was an incredibly great invention in America. I have said to guests that I've had on the show from Europe regularly that I think the biggest difference between their country and ours is that we have talk radio and they do not. And they all agreed. You can't just start stations to do what you want as you could in America. I think the left is going to try to suppress that with more and more rules. Americans have accepted, apparently, the idea that the government can control more of their life. This is the world's widespread idea. Former British Prime Minister Tony Blair advocated that there be vaccination passports, that you can't go around the EU if you don't have a vaccination passport. Had this been said even 5 years ago, people would have thought it's totalitarian. So he died at the age of 70, which in today's days is not an old age. And he didn't die of old age. He died of cancer, which he stoically endured to the end. You should read Charles Krauthammer's last, another giant of conservatism. Very different approach in speech and so on, but another giant. Two giants in about 3 years. How long ago did Charles Krauthammer die? About 3 years ago? He wrote his last column knowing he was dying. And he wrote, "I'm sad I'm leaving, but I led a full life for which I am so grateful." I suspect that that's what Rush Limbaugh would have said if he wrote a last column. But he didn't write columns. Only rarely did. So, may indeed he rest in peace. I thought that the Presidential Medal of Freedom was appropriate. It certainly isn't appropriate for any New York Times writer. If the world that Rush Limbaugh envisioned existed, we would have a lot more freedom than if the world the New York Times envisioned existed. Everybody knows that that's true. Everyone listening knows it's true. There are some who will say it, and there are those who won't say it, but it is true. That's what people should ask. No, well, did you know Limbaugh said, Rush said? Okay, so let's imagine the New York Times editorial board gets America the way it wants, and Rush Limbaugh got America the way he wanted. In which America would people be freer? That, my friends, is what is known as a rhetorical question. Well, it's hard to believe, especially, when somebody plays a role in people's lives, it's hard to believe. I was telling my wife the other day that I was, what was I? 12 years old? Yeah, I was 12 years old. No. He was 63. No, I was 14 years old. 15 years old. I was 15 years old when John Kennedy was assassinated. And I remember there was a subway. I was in New York, Brooklyn. There was an elevated subway stop. That's the one near my house. It's about, half a mile away. And I remember on Sunday, he was murdered on Friday. I remember Sunday was quite quiet. I was walking by the elevated subway line, and the train came by. And I remember thinking, wow, President of the United States is shot, killed, and the trains just keep going on. It was such a wake-up call about things go on. And yet there is a loss. It's true things go on, but things go on with a loss, as just about all of you have experienced with the loss of a loved one in your life. One of the great lessons is appreciate what you have and whom you have while you have it and while you have that person. That is a biggie. All right, 1-8-Prager-776. Lot to share with you here. Congressional Democrats plan to bail out China. Wall Street Journal. IMF special drawing rights with no strings are the wrong way to help developing countries. A blank check would surrender accountability for how the money is used, inviting waste and corruption. This is talking here about special drawing rights. It's an amazing thing. Congressional Democrats have pushed repeatedly for time-sensitive, must-pass legislation to require the International Monetary Fund to issue at least $2 trillion special drawing rights, or SDRs, to its 190 member countries, which governments could then exchange for nearly $3 trillion in hard currency to defend against the pandemic. See, I know reading this to you, a lot of your ears glaze over, and I don't blame you. There's a problem here, and that is some of the most damaging things happening are not exciting and not widely reported. But President Trump made us aware of China's threat. President Biden doesn't.